All right, hello there. It is Friday, and you might be going, where in the world is Russ lagging right now? Well, I am actually on location in Montana today. So we've got the Montana Summit going on tonight, tomorrow, and all day Saturday. And I am super thrilled to be here. One of the things that I love about this job is being able to get out and about and see people and hug people and show them love and make sure that we're there for each other. So I'm in Montana, and I figured, why not do the big agent meeting from the hills? I got snow on the ground. I got a Jeep under my laptop right here, and we're ready to rock and roll. So today we're going to kick it off with Holly Mabery with the Brokerage Brief, and we're talking about like what's going on right now with listings, right? There's a lot of things going on in listings. The world is changing. The whole thing about listings is changing, the way you do it, what you do it, and then of course how you get seen. So there's a lot of little things that you guys need to know to be able to take this business to the next level, and Holly's going to break some of that down for you right now. Take it away, Holly.
I love the words seller choice, consumer choice. There's a lot of people throwing those words around right now, but when it comes to listing a property and how sellers move forward, they really rely on their professional for all their options. So if you're sitting across the kitchen table from somebody and you're talking about what it looks like to work with you, and you start to provide a menu of services and choices to that seller, what's most important is educating them on what it looks like for them and then what ramifications those choices might be. If they price too high, if they only allow the marketing to go so far, all of those types of things. So a year ago, we saw from the National Association of Realtors a change of the rule. Now, we were all talking about clear cooperation, but if we go back, and especially as we look at the headlines of this week, many people are still talking about consumer choice when it comes to putting their property on the market. So in a quick review, multiple listing service options. Yes, we've seen that roll out over the last 9 months together. Sellers instruct their agent, hey, where do I want marketing to go? Do I want to go through the Internet Data Exchange or IDX? And that really pushes to all the other broker websites, to the internet portals like Zillow and Homes.com, Realtor.com. And that allows the seller to get the widest potential exposure, right? On the internet means online, on demand, ready for that consumer. Okay, but what if I need to paint the bedroom? What if I need to do some freshening around the house, but I do want to put it coming soon? I've signed that listing agreement with my agent. Well, you absolutely can do that. And many MLSs have provisions for how to either do delayed before you go live on the market or coming soon, those types of things. Every MLS is unique, and it's really been customized to that market area. That's what I appreciate. Now, when we look at how we go forward and how we take care of people, clear cooperation is still in play. Why does clear cooperation matter? I think that's a key that we all should be aware of. See, it came forward because many smaller brokers, smaller agents, part of smaller companies nationwide said, hey, we are missing out on inventory because these bigger companies are holding it behind a walled garden. That's not fair. They actually went to the National Association of Realtors and demanded some sort of ability to have the access to everything that was going on. That makes sense. When you look at how you sit across the conversation from a seller at the dining room table or the kitchen table or even the couch, how you educate them on who sees their property and when makes a huge difference. Now, local MLSs, they determine. And this is what NAR put out last year. It says, okay, office exclusive period, 1 business day must, so you can share it within your office, right? You're all on the same team, but within 1 business day of public marketing, you've got to be in the MLS. Okay, that's reasonable. But this is the challenge. When you start to look at that clarity that we all deserve, is delayed marketing is the same as an office exclusive? No, it's not. Office exclusive basically says you're only going to talk to the people in your office. Nobody else besides those people can look at that listing. So they've got to have the buyers come to them to be able to see that property. Delayed marketing basically says, I'm not going to push it to IDX or all those internet portals. I'm going to allow my seller to work on, painting the bathroom that is really dark, or maybe the daughter's bedroom who is princess pink. Okay, cool. When you start to look at how you set your seller for success, especially in the shifting market where we're seeing it even out to more of a buyer's market or equilibrium, days on market's increasing from 45 to about 55 days. As a result, you can do a delayed marketing. You can withhold from the internet for just a little bit of time. But the minute you start to advertise publicly, you probably want to get your seller out in front of everybody. Now, what should you be saying to your seller? And this is all about their timing. This is all about their need. Now, we do have some of those special sellers who really don't want a sign in the yard. They don't want anybody to know they're for sale because, I don't know, they're Taylor Swift, or maybe they're a federal judge, or gosh, they're some famous football star. Okay, that happens. But at the end of the day, many of those do end up going on market because those people have moved out or are no longer in the property. As a result, the adjustment in your timing as you talk to people about their choice, when they go on the market, who can see their property, where their property can be found, becomes really important. What is in your best interest? And I always start asking those questions. Hey, seller, in selling your property, we know it's going to take X amount of days based on your price point and what your comparable competition is doing. What makes sense for you? We know you've got to paint, you're putting in new flooring. Do we want to do a coming soon? And so people know it's coming, but it's not show ready? Okay. Or these are the rules that I have within the MLS that make the most sense. And then when we hit the market, we hit everything all at once. Now, this is the other secret I want to tell you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. The minute we go on market, it will go out to over 1,000 different websites. Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, those are the top. But sometimes those other websites, they only update when we have a status change or price change. See, that's so important to share with your seller, because if they want to change the wording or if they want to put in new photos, those may not go to some of those smaller websites. As a result, you and I need to advocate for our seller in making sure that everything is perfect up front. The other thing that's happening right now is AI is previewing everything, and they are bucketing. AI is actually bucketing and pre-screening how people shop. It's no longer, I need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you're putting in all this criteria into Zillow or Homes.com. They both have AI agents that's pre-screening. I want you to think of losing the keyboard and actually talking to your phone saying, hey, Alexa, hey, Siri, find all of the homes in this zip code under this price that is this big. And it starts listing those off. That's where we're headed.
I found some web results.
And Siri found it for me.
iPhone.
And that's what I want you to
I'm
know.
having problems with the connection to iPhone.
Thanks,
I'm having
Siri.
Problems with the connection.
So this is what I want you to know. If you have a seller who's going to delay, if you have a seller who is not going to go on the market right away. Hey, Siri, off. She's super helpful. If you have a seller who's looking to go on the market, I want you to make sure you're using this form. We rolled this out last year, last April, actually, to make sure that we were educating them up front. Some sellers, they don't want to go on the market to everybody. Okay, that's fine. If they delay their listing, that's fine. It's their choice. But now we're explaining to them in writing exactly what this means with limited broker exposure. As a result, there could be a financial risk. They may not make as much money. They may have a longer market time. There will be no public portals. They can't find it on Zillow or Realtor.com. And as a result, I'm going to have you sign off here. I just want you in the know. So when you need options, when you have those sellers who are looking for it, you always lead with a disclosure. Now, in the last couple of weeks, there's been a court case. Zillow and Compass have been in a legal battle as far as Zillow banning any private listings from eventually coming to their network. They're like, no, once you go online, public marketing, that should be in the MLS and it should be to the portals. Okay, Zillow as a private company reserves the right to ban anybody. Okay, well, they've only banned a handful of houses. This is what I want you to know. On February 6th, the federal judge rejected Compass's bid for preliminary injunction, basically noting the evidence didn't show that Zillow possessed the power to exclude the competition or they had held a monopoly. Okay, big deal. What you and I need to know beyond this headline is, hey, seller, you may never end up on Zillow if we list your property, there's a sign in the yard, and it's only privately held. It doesn't go to other agents. It doesn't go into the MLS. Those are things I want you to know. As a result, you would have to relist with a different agent. I think telling the truth is always the biggest deal up front. Now, what Zillow decides and how they move forward with their business, that's up to them. But how you and I treat the client at their living room table, that's all that matters. So just some things to think about. Now, for your buyers, this is also a big deal. We want to have the conversation that not all listings may appear through IDX. They may only be in the MLS. And we do have some MLSs out there that things don't go out to IDX, to other broker websites, or to the portals, but you can get them as an agent on the multiple listing service. So it's really important that you educate people what's going on in your neighborhood, what you have access to. And we also know that some people are not putting anything on the MLS. Okay, maybe they're not a realtor member. Maybe they're not a member of the MLS. So you go out and you find these different things, whether they're off-market properties, for sale by owners, all of those things we've done for many, many years. It's the leverage that you have in your community and knowing where to go that's going to make all the difference. And so when you look at these rule changes and how people interpret them, it's important to have the communication with your buyer. Hey, I turn over every rock for you. I look at every property. I'm driving these neighborhoods that you want to live in. I am looking and staying in contact with people who may want to sell that haven't thought of it yet. So when you're ready to buy, I'll be here. Those are scripts that I like to use and share with people, that I'm always proactive. At the end of the day, we know that sellers have a lot to consider. We know that consumer choice is thrown out quite a bit. We want to give you the ability to have a better conversation with your clients, and all these resources are in your seller toolkit. What's so great about it is we have an FAQ that breaks down why this form, why that form, what it looks like, some generic scripts that you can customize to the conversation you're having with your client. At the end of the day, consumer choice is very personal. It comes down to you and your client, but consumer choice is about educating them on what their choices are, and when a decision is made, what it means to them. Guys, I'm always here to help, but please dig into these resources. Every form here is available to you in SkySlope under your EXP folder. Thanks, guys.
All right, so there you go. Holly Mabery breaking it down for you. Like, the key right now is you got to do the things that make your listing get seen. You got to make sure you're doing what's in the best interest of your seller and what your seller wants. They have a choice. We need to make sure we educate them and show them what the best choice is for them to get what they want out of the business. All right, so with that said, we're transitioning from market visibility to personal visibility. So the attraction advantage segment today, let's real quick, right? The world is changing again with AI, and a lot of things are changing with AI. And the one thing I want you guys to make sure you're clear on is you got to start showing up, and you got to be live, and you got to participate. So much of this attraction process, building a business or building attraction for building your revenue share organization, is about connecting with people and being able to actually jump in a plane and show up sometimes, being able to show up at the meeting and be able to show up at the event. Just the process of being there and being present makes all the difference in the world. So it's a matter of consistency in showing up for people. And it's consistency in making sure that they know what you're driving at is for them to take their business to the next level. So if you start showing up and you do it consistently and make it about them, it's going to completely change the way people see you and see the way you work in this world and want to be around you more often. All right, next up we have Alyssa Speck with the Spotlight University Spotlight. Easy for me to say. It's 12 degrees out here, guys. My face is frozen. It's hard to articulate words right now. Alyssa Speck with the University Spotlight. She'll be talking about making sure you understand who you choose to work with and when you choose to work with them. Alyssa, take it away.
What's up, big agent? Meeting Alyssa Speck here, back with your EXP University Spotlight. My friends, if you're serious about your production this year, this next week at EXPU is all about tightening execution. let me give you a rundown of what you can expect next week, starting on Monday with Level Up. And guys, let's talk about open houses. Sometimes our open houses, they feel a little inconsistent. Sometimes the results don't seem to match the effort. If that is you, join us on Monday because Brad Korn is going to walk us through the perfect open house system. We're going to be talking about how to reverse engineer our income goals into a repeatable structure that turns into an actual pipeline. So tune in on Monday for Level Up. Now let's take a look over to Thursday for another executive masterclass. This time we are joined by VP of Brokerage Ops, Beth Adams, and we're talking about buyer agreements. Sometimes those buyer agreements, maybe you feel a little bit awkward. Maybe you're unsure about how to secure that commitment early. So Beth is going to walk us through using buyer intro videos, using buyer books, and using smarter follow-up. So tune in to that. And then we're looking to Friday. We are back with another big agent meeting. You're here, you know the deal. But let me tell you what's coming up. We are joined by 7-time icon, John Tsai, and he's going to be talking about rotation scheduling, high volume lead management, and an accountability structure that will help you sustain long-term production. So that's Friday on the Big Agent Meeting, but we're not done with Friday yet. We are also going to get back in the lab with the Lab Podcast. We've got Tia Paxton. Tia's going to be talking about her hospitality first model. We're talking about frictionless texting. We're talking about kitchen counter consultations. Guys, if you don't want your consultations to feel rushed, your buyers to feel guarded, join us on the lab on Friday. All right, guys, that's my time. Block your calendar, tag your team, and I'll see you there.
All right. Thank you very much, Alyssa. Now we're talking about changing from skills and systems to talking about how to avoid agent burnout. Justin Core and Brian Ellington are going to have a conversation about that right now that you guys will want to check out. So here you go. Take it away, Brian.
Made sense, to me on that end. Secondarily, you could see that Flex was, Zillow was going to be pushing the Flex because it was probably also more profitable for them long term. And so that was kind of our reason of jumping into it is like, I've never wanted it to be our entire business. It's actually always been probably at top 30 to 35% of our kind of overall production. But, and that's just a business decision to make sure we're still training agents to feed themselves and, and grow them where Flex can be a benefit if they need it early. And then, with the goal of being able to have choices at some point in the future. And so our team, we've got 35, agents or so, about 18 of them are on our Flex team. That Flex is on or off because metrics change, direction changes, markets change, and so we're constantly, we're trying to recruit new talent to the Flex team, but also some of our top agents move on because they've, they can stand on their own 2 feet and don't want that anymore. So there's a constant relearning process in this. And that's kind of what I've uncovered. And that's why this, I think, is so helpful that EXP's, starting to do that because nothing's ever the same and hasn't been since we've been with Zillow.
What I see in a lot of Flex teams is a kind of a life cycle of agent in the Zillow arena. And that is newer agents, as you say, typically they get metered a little bit. A lot of team leaders do what they call 5-5-10, which is give you 5 leads, pause. Let's see how you do. Give you 5 more, pause. Are you doing that, by the way?
Yeah, well, we do. We rotate. We split our team in half and we rotate week after week. And so they get a pause week. And so there's challenges with that too, because every week's not created the same, so we'll have a week where a handful of highly sought after listings hit the market and the leads are plentiful. And then you'll have weeks where, it's just really quiet, or seemingly quiet across, 10 people or however many are on that week. But it has given our team the freedom. What we were trying to manage for them was the stress of not being able to miss a phone call. Cause that's, it's part of the business, but it's an unhealthy challenge at times too, when you feel, and then we were just feeling that for them. Like, we'd get the stories of people running out of church, or like dinner time, and it's like, That's not what we want. We
Yeah.
can't control it. But if you could know that this week you're not going to have to deal with that, and this next week you're going to be on, it made it a little more manageable, for some of the agents we really wanted to be on that maybe otherwise would have chosen not to. They said, okay, I can buy into some weeks where I'm ready to go. I'm planning my week around keeping it available to be able to run out and do showings. And there is a healthy piece of having a week to do your follow-ups, to work through your old stuff. And that's one thing that actually has rang true this last 2 months that we've been pushing a lot is our average. I went through it yesterday on our call with our team. Probably our last 8 or 10 transactions, the average time from call to contract was roughly 140 days. We had some as long as 220 days, a couple that were in the, 70, 80 day range. And so that goes to show, like, the call that's coming in today is probably not the one that's going to go under contract for you this month.
Right.
Could, and that's what I think early on in this, a lot of agents are looking for, because it does happen every once in a while. I've had new agents come on our team and go from their first call writing a cash offer, and then they think that's going to be the business, right? And it's like, that's fantastic. We're happy that happens sometimes, but it's not the mindset that it's actually going to happen almost ever. Like, it very rarely occurs that way. Our goal is to really kind of celebrate your growth and your success and use this as a launching pad, for you to be able to get repetition. So for our newer agents, really bleeding that into their overall training, that, what you're going to get out of this is you're going to get opportunities to fail, because we know even our best agents fail 9 out of 10, on these, or, 8 out of 10. And so, so that's the beauty, versus waiting for your network to trust you and then failing them, And so, like, when you put it in perspective, it's like, man, let's have the most amount of real estate based conversations we can possibly have. Let's get in front of people. Let's practice our showing. Let's refine our craft and refine all of our skill sets. And then, man, 2-3 years from now, if you keep up this effort, it's all going to get easier, because a lot of the stuff that's worrying you and concerning you now is going to be like riding a bike. And so that evolution for me is always fun and exciting to see when you look up and somebody's they're standing on their own 2 feet and they've got it. And now you're talking about building a business around them. Those are really fun conversations.
All right, so there you go, Brian and Justin talking about transactions and talking about the process. Like, you get to know people, and it could be months before people actually do business with you. So you want to make sure you're doing the things that make you stand out as you're going through this business world. All right, so we have Ian Wheatley going to talk to you about KGCI. KGCI's got some great stuff coming along for you guys. And in an environment where tools and timelines are shifting, your ability to keep moving the ball forward is becoming more and more important. So, Ian, take it away, KGCI.
Hey, what's up, Russ? Good morning. A quick question for everybody here. How many of you have ever thought, I know I've heard a better way to say this before, whether that's a better seller objection handler, better pricing conversation, better follow-up script, maybe better listing appointment framework, but like when you needed it, it was gone. That's because in this industry, we don't necessarily have a lack of skills. That skill retrieval can be the actual issue, and that can be the impediment to our success. And over at KGCI Real Estate On Air, we have over 2,700 episodes of agent training, scripts, listing strategies, buyer consultation frameworks, mindset works, marketing tactics, like you name it. It's all at realestateonair.fm. And until recently, all this stuff was basically just stuck in a pile. So we built something new, and it's called The Vault. And The Vault is now a fully searchable database of the very best conversations from KGCI Real Estate On Air, organized around what you actually need when you're out here in the field, right? Whether that's a need for a tighter pricing conversation before a listing appointment, if you need that, all you got to do is search it. If you want a better way to explain days on market without sounding defensive as an agent, just search it. And if you're trying to convert more of the leads that are already in your database without feeling like you're starting from scratch every single time you pick up that phone, all you got to do is search it, because KGCI isn't just content and real estate information. What it is for you as an agent is it's a credibility engine. And if you can actually get to it when it counts, it can be absolute gold. And that's exactly what we got going on this week's Friday Focus on KGCI Real Estate on Air right after today's big agent meeting. Beginning right around noon through the end of the day, we are going to be running the Future Proof Pro, which leans into how agents are starting to pair AI, emerging technology with smarter systems and those proven conversations and frameworks that you hear 24/7, 365 on KGCI Real Estate on Air, not just to replace their voice, but to amplify their consistency in all parts of their business. So if you've ever wanted to sound sharper on that phone, move faster between conversations, or just like stop rebuilding your business from scratch every single Monday, this is the Friday Focus that's designed for you. And that's all coming up next on KGCI Real Estate on Air.
All right. Thank you, Ian Wheatley. If there's one thing this year, one thing this week, one thing in this session that you need to look at is becoming relevant and staying relevant in this market right now. It takes real work. You got to know what's going on in the industry. You got to know what's going on with the details of marketing. You got to know what's going on in the parts and pieces to be able to take your business to the next level. And every single thing you're doing is to make you more and more relevant throughout this process as being a real estate agent in the real estate business. So with that said, that is the end of our show for today. So you guys could jump on, check out the QR code. Let us know how we're doing in the format. Let me know if you like my hat with my little bear ears to keep my head warm in 12 degrees outside here in Montana. I want to make sure we're always taking this business to the next level for you guys, doing new things and interesting things for you. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Look forward to seeing you guys next week where I'm somewhere warmer. Have a great week.